dear students, myself Gangadhar Solanke, and I welcome you all to the MCGM's virtual classroom. My dear students, today in Standard 8's History, we'll be learning the topic Struggle for Equality. Now here in this topic, we're going to learn about Pigeon Movement, then the Socialist Movement, Feminist Movement, Dalit Movement, and basically in the progress of modern India, struggle for political freedom was important, and about that we people are continuously studying, we people are continuously talking in the previous chapters. This political freedom was based on broad philosophy of man's emancipation, and therefore in the course of this struggle, along with political dependence, there was opposition to things like feudalism, social inequality, and economic exploitation. So by this we can conclude, or we can say that at the same time in India at that time or at that period, two movements were there. One for the political freedom from the Britishers, and another movement for the freedom from inequality, freedom from feudalism, and movement against the social inequality and economic exploitation. Now if we people study the Indian society or the nature of our Indian society, pre-independence Indian society, then we can understand that there were a number of castes and religions, and the society was based on many social norms and social conditions, and because of that there was the situation where social inequality was there, practice of untouchability was there, and to solve this many leaders started this movement, and about that we are going to talk in this topic. So like the freedom, the principle of equality is very important, or we can say that as freedom is important, that much equality is also important. So from that point of view, the contribution of movements built up by various social groups such as farmers, workers, women, Dalits, etc., as well as the stream of socialism giving importance to equality, proves to be significant, and without realizing its contribution we will not be able to understand the developmental process of modern India. So if we people are going to understand or to talk about modern India, then it is very important to talk about the political freedom movement and at the same time social movements of modern India. So in this topic we are going to talk about that, and in this, the first one is Pigeon movement, then socialist movement, feminist movement, Dalit movement, and workers union. So one by one now we'll talk in detail about. So the first one is here, Pigeon movement. The Indian farmers had to suffer due to the ill effects of British economic policy, and the one very important thing about India is that India is an agrarian country. Number of people directly or indirectly dependent on the agriculture now also, and if we people talk about that period before independence, तो near about हमारी पूरी की पूरी population जो है वो खेती पर ही depend थी, and due to the ill effects of British economic policy, the Indian farmers had to suffer. The British government used to protect the landlords and money lenders. So the policies of British government were not for the common farmers or for common people. The British government used to protect the landlords and money lenders, and on many occasions the farmers rose against this injustice. And not only in any particular part of the country, but everywhere in the different parts of the country, different regions of the country, farmers rose against this injustice. The peasants in Bengal formed their union and revolted against the compulsion of cultivating indigo through one policy of British government. It was compulsory for the farmers to cultivate indigo because it gives money, and for British people or for British government it was necessary to exploit the Indian farmers for their betterment. So British government made it compulsory of cultivating indigo, but the peasants in Bengal formed their union and revolted against the compulsion of cultivating indigo. The play Neel Darpan, written by Dinbandhu Mitra, brought to the notice of the society the wretched conditions of the peasants producing indigo. Not only this, but in 1875, farmers from Maharashtra rose in revolt against the atrocities of the landlords and the moneylenders. Here on the screen you can see the Neel Darpan or the Indigo Planting Mirror, a drama by Dinbandhu Mitra. So not only newspapers but through dramas also, leaders or the writers started awareing the people. So in 1875, farmers from Maharashtra rose in revolt against the atrocities of the landlords and moneylenders. The farmers in Uttar Pradesh. Now we talked about the farmers of Bengal, then of Maharashtra, and now farmers in Uttar Pradesh formed Kisan Sabha in 1918 under the leadership of Baba Ramchandra. The Mopla peasants rose in a great revolt in Kerala, but the British government crushed it down. So, Britishers' policies were only for the economic exploitation of the Indian farmers, and now through this we can understand that how the peasants or the farmers came together, formed different unions or groups and started their own movement against the British government. In Bengal, then in Uttar Pradesh, in Maharashtra, in Kerala. In 1936, with the initiative of Professor N.G. Ranga, the Akhil Bharatiya Kisan Sabha was established. Swami Sahajanand Saraswati was the president of this organization, and this Sabha presented a declaration of peasants' rights to the Indian National Congress. What exactly farmers wanted, what were the problems of the farmers, and what was the condition of farmers, all these things were mentioned or written in the Declaration of Peasants' Rights, which was presented to the Indian National Congress by Akhil Bharatiya Kisan Sabha. The session of the Congress was held in the rural part of Faizpur in Maharashtra. There, thousands of peasants attended this session. Now, not only this, but in 1938, the crops in eastern Khandesh, part of Maharashtra today's, were destroyed due to heavy rains. The condition of the farmers was miserable because of the heavy rains. क्योंकि इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर की अगर हम बात करेंगे तो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर जो है वो रेन पे डिपेंड है. अगर बारिश नहीं होती है तो भी फार्मर्स का नुकसान होता है, बारिश बहुत ज़्यादा होती है तो भी फार्मर्स का नुकसान होता है. एंड द सेम थिंग हैपेंड इन 1938. ईस्टर्न खानदेश जो है अभी के महाराष्ट्र का पार्ट रीजन, वहाँ पर ड्यू टू हेवी रेन सारे क्रॉप्स डिस्ट्रॉय हो गए. इन ऑर्डर टू गेट द लैंड रेवेन्यू वेव्ड, अगर खेती में क्रॉप ही नहीं होंगे तो फिर टैक्स कैसे देंगे, लैंड रेवेन्यू कैसे देंगे फार्मर्स. सो इन ऑर्डर टू गेट द लैंड रेवेन्यू वेव्ड, साने गुरुजी organized meeting at many places. He took out marches on the collector office. The peasants participated in large numbers in the revolutionary period of 1942. So, Sane Guruji wrote many songs to aware the people about their rights. One of them इज ऑन द स्क्रीन. आता उठवू सारे रान, आता पेटवू सारे रान, शेतकऱ्यांच्या राज्यासाठी लावू पणाला प्राण. सो लाइक नील दर्पण रिटन बाय दीनबंधु मित्र, वैसे ही साने गुरुजी भी राइटर थे, तो उन्होंने भी अपनी राइटिंग का यूज़ लोगों को अवेयर करने के लिए किया. Sane Guruji built up unity of the workers. He tried to create strong center of workers union at Dhule, Ahmednagar. He was the president of Mill Workers Union of Amalner. He went on fast unto death to open the doors of Vitthal temple at Pandharpur for the Dalit. So the work of Sane Guruji was also very important in the struggle for equality. Now we are going to talk about workers union next to the peasant movement. In the latter half of the 19th century, textile mills, railway companies, textile mills, railway companies and such industries were started in India. This was something which is new for Indian people. The workers group had not aroused on large scale, but in this period efforts were made to solve the problems of the workers like peasant movement. जैसे खेती करने वाले लोग हैं, उनका एक्सप्लॉयटेशन हो रहा है, उनके राइट्स उन्हें नहीं दिए जा रहे हैं, तो वो इकट्ठा हुए, उन्होंने अलग अलग ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस बनाई या फिर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी की तरह कुछ ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस बनाई एंड अपनी मांगे सरकार के सामने रखी, या फिर उस वक्त के जो बड़े पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज थी जैसे इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस, उनके सामने रखी. सेम थिंग हैपेंड इन द इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन ऑल्सो. धीरे धीरे जैसे इंडस्ट्री स्टार्ट हुई तो लोगों को ये समझ में आया कि हमारा एक्सप्लॉयटेशन हो रहा है, हमारे अधिकार हमें नहीं दिए जा रहे. सो द वर्कर्स ग्रुप हैड नॉट अराउज्ड ऑन लार्ज स्केल, बट इन दिस पीरियड efforts were made to solve the problems of the workers. And in this, Shashipada Banerjee and Narayan Meghaji Lokhande organized the workers at local level. Lokhande's contribution to the working class movement was so valuable that he is described as father of Indian workers movement, and by this we can understand his work. अगर किसी लीडर को किसी एक मूवमेंट का फादर कहा जाता है, फादर ऑफ इंडियन वर्कर्स मूवमेंट, देन वी कैन easily understand his role or his work for the workers. So Bombay Mill Hands Association in 1890. The native place of Narayan Meghaji Lokhande was Khandesh near Saswad in Pune district. He formed the Mill Workers Union known as Bombay Mill Hands Association in 1890. This workers union is believed to be the beginning of organized movement in India. So this was the first of this kind. He was also the chairman of Mumbai branch of Satya Shodhak Samaj, which was founded by Mahatma Phule. And due to his efforts, from 10 June 1890, the workers started getting weekly holiday on Sunday. Otherwise, there was no any holiday. Continuously काम करना पड़ता था. काम के आवर्स भी फिक्स नहीं थे और डेज जो थे वो पूरे दिन काम ही करना पड़ता था. So he was the leader because of whom the workers started getting weekly holiday on Sunday. At the same time, an agitation was launched against the wretched condition of the tea plantation workers in Assam, like indigo, compulsion of indigo. In 1899, the Great Indian Peninsular GIP railway workers called for a strike for their demands. And during the anti-partition movement, workers carried out strikes from time to time in support of Swadeshi. So people were in the struggle for equality or were in the movement of struggle for equality, and at the same time these leaders or the people were in the movement of Indian freedom struggle. After the First World War, due to industrialization, there was rise of worker class in India. बिकॉज ऑफ द इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन, जितनी ज़्यादा इंडस्ट्री स्टार्ट हुई उतने लोग वहाँ पर काम करने लगे और फिर उतने लोग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, यूनियन में शामिल होने लगे और अपने हक और अधिकार की बात करने लगे. सो विद दिस नेसेसिटी इन 1920 ऑल इंडिया ट्रेड यूनियन AITUC, ऑल इंडिया ट्रेड यूनियन Congress was established. N.M. Joshi had a major role in the working of AITUC. Then Lala Lajpat Rai was the president of the first session of AITUC. He told the workers to actively participate in the national movement. So at the same time, as I told you, workers भारत के आज़ादी की लड़ाई में भी लड़ रहे थे और अपनी खुद के हक और अधिकार की लड़ाई भी लड़ रहे थे. श्रीपाद अमृत डांगे, मुजफ्फर अहमद, such socialist leaders by spreading the socialist ideology. So for any organization or political party or for any group, ideology is very important because such groups work on ideologies. And Sripad Amrut Dange, Muzaffar Ahmad, these leaders were socialist. So by spreading the socialist ideology among the workers, worked to form militant organizations. In 1928, the Mumbai Mill Workers Union went on strike for 6 months. Just think about the period. Strike पे चले गए for 6 months. Many such strikes were made by the railway workers, jute mill workers, etc. And the government was disturbed. Government was disturbed to see the going strength of the workers movement because number of people were participating in the movement and because of that उन्हें उनकी डिमांड माननी पड़ती थी. So it was kind of danger in front of the British government क्योंकि ये बढ़ता ही चला जाता तो उसकी मदद जो है, उसकी हेल्प जो है वो फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल को भी होती थी. So the government was disturbed to see the growing strength of the workers movement and to suppress this movement legislations were made. The workers struggle proved to be supportive to the national movement, or we can say that the struggle for equality and the national movement or the workers struggle proved to be supportive to the national movement. So we can say that these two movements were the two sides of a single coin जिसका नाम था फ्रीडम या फिर आज़ादी. Now the next socialist movement. Many of the young activists in the Indian National Congress felt that for protecting the interest of the people it is necessary to overthrow the British government. It was necessary to overthrow the British government. Why? For protecting the interest of the people. And similarly, they started realizing that the society should be restructured. Society should be restructured on the principle of economic and social equality. Because though if we can say you'll get the freedom from the British government and there is no any kind of economic or social equality in the society, then the freedom is of not use. जैसे आज की अगर हम बात करेंगे तो फ्रीडम कुछ काम का नहीं रहता अगर ये इकोनॉमिक एंड सोशल इक्वालिटी की मूवमेंट नहीं चलती. सो द पीपल हु वेर ऑफ सोशलिस्ट philosophy or of ideology started realizing that the society should be restructured on the principle of economic and social equality. So through this realization there was rise and growth of socialist ideology. People were interested in this ideology, people attracted towards this ideology, and people participated in the movement of socialist equality, or the movement run by the people who were walking on the path of socialist philosophy. The socialist youths, while they were in the prison at Nasik, decided to form the Socialist Party within the Indian National Congress. Now we people are continuously studying about the journey of the Indian National Congress, how it was formed and the leaders worked in this and the how different branches of the Indian National Congress started. जैसे सुभाष चंद्र बोस थे जो इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस में काम कर रहे थे, लेकिन उनकी कुछ बातें उन्हें ऐसे लगा कि यहाँ पर नहीं सही जा रही है तो वो वहाँ से निकल गए. फिर ये सोशलिस्ट यूथ जो थे उन्हें भी ऐसे लगा कि हमें अलग होकर यहाँ से एक नई पार्टी बनानी चाहिए जो totally based on the socialist philosophy. So the socialist youth, while they were in the prison at Nasik, decided to form the socialist party within the Indian National Congress. One more thing here which is very important to understand, that the socialist youths while they were in the prison, इसका मतलब ये है कि उस वक्त ये सारे लीडर्स या फिर कॉमन लोग भी या फिर छोटे मोटे कार्यकर्ता किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के, वो जेल में भी अगर होते थे तो वो हमारे देश के बारे में और यहाँ के लोगों के अच्छाई के बारे में ही सोच रहे थे. फॉर ब्रिटिशर्स के लिए वो गुनाहगार थे, कुछ ना कुछ गुनाह उन्होंने किया था, इसलिए उन्हें जेल में डाला गया था. लेकिन ये सारे लोग भारत के आज़ादी की लड़ाई लड़ रहे थे और जेल में होते हुए भी वो अपने देश के बारे में ही सोच रहे थे. एंड द सेम थिंग हैपेंड हियर. द सोशलिस्ट यूथ्स व्हाइल दे वर इन द prison at Nasik decided to form the Socialist Party within the Indian National Congress. According to this decision in 1934, the Congress Socialist Party was formed. Congress Socialist Party was formed, which included leaders like Acharya Narendra Dev, Jay Prakash Narayan, Minu Masani, Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia, etc. And in Quit India movement of 1942, these young socialists were in the forefront. So it is not only like that these people were in the movement of struggle for equality, but at the same time these leaders were in the movement of India's freedom struggle. Indians got introduced to Karl Marx and his communism. So whenever we talk about Karl Marx, then there is one word which means communism, or which is communism. Lokmanya Tilak had already written an article on Marx in 1881. After First World War, the influence of communism was felt in India, not only in India but everywhere in the different parts of the world. People were talking about Karl Marx, people were talking about the philosophy of Karl Marx, and people were talking about the principles of communism or the specialities of the communism or special things about the communism. So India, or if we talk about especially the socialist youngsters in India at the time after First World War, the influence of communists was felt in India, and Manvendranath Roy played active role in the international communist movement. So in 1925, the Communist Party was formed in India. In 1925, the Communist Party was formed in India. Now one thing again which is very important to understand here, जैसे हमने INS इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बना, फिर किस तरह से आज़ाद हिंद सेना बना, फिर फॉरवर्ड ब्लॉक नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस ने बनाया, फिर हमने देखा कि किस तरह से बाकी जो लीडर्स थे, पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स, उन्होंने भी अपने अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस बनाए, जैसे भगत सिंह और उनके साथी थे. हियर ऑल्सो पीपल विद द कम्युनिस्ट थॉट इस्टेब्लिश्ड और वी कैन से फॉर्म्ड द कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी इन इंडिया. तो धीरे धीरे एक स्ट्रक्चर बनता जा रहा था ऑफ इंडियन पॉलिटिक्स. The work of building militant organizations of workers and peasants was done by the young communists. The British government started feeling the danger of communist movement. The British government started feeling the danger of communist movement. Sripad Amrut Dange, Muzaffar Ahmad, Keshav Nilkant Zoglekar were arrested. Now here one thing again which is very important, that the British government always felt danger of thought felt danger of the people with ideology, felt danger of the people with philosophy, or felt danger with the leaders who can attract common people or can spread awareness among the people or can stand agitation against the British government. So same thing happened here also. They were given different punishments. They were charged with planning of a conspiracy to overthrow the British rule. और ये तो था ही उनके philosophy में, to overthrow the British rule. The trial took place at Meerut and is therefore known as the Meerut conspiracy case. Even after the Meerut trial, the influence of communist workers movement remained constant. So this was all about the movements of struggle for equality, or the people who played very important role in establishing the thought of equality in the politics of India, or to raise voice against the exploitation of peasants or the exploitation of workers. And in this, today we studied about the peasant movement, and in that the role of Professor N.G. Ranga, Sane Guruji, then the Neelblar Darpan written by Dinbandhu, Kisan Sabha, and in Workers Union, Narayan Meghaji Lokhande's role, and the formation of AITUC, that is All India Trade Union Congress. Then in social movement, where people learnt about the thought of socialist movement. Now in the next part of this topic, we are going to study this topic into two parts. In the first part today, we people learned about peasant movement, about workers union, socialist movement, and in the next part or the second part of this topic, we'll learn about feminist movement, Dalit movement. Please subscribe the channel and press bell icon to get notifications. So my dear students, this is all for today. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe, take care.